All right. Okay. So let's, if everybody's okay, and let's just go ahead and hand it over to our friend Megan for the great presentation.
Sounds good. Thank you. And thank you for having me. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm not using my headset tonight because I'm home alone. So
Loud and clear.
awesome. Awesome. I am a solution architect at Proficient with my buddy Jim and a few other smart folks. I am not a technology person. I'm not a developer. I'm a researcher and strategist. I do a lot with content strategy, SEO, user experience, that sort of thing. I've done a lot of weird stuff in my marketing career. I've worked for a lot of healthcare organizations and nonprofits. I've raised money, I've recruited doctors, I have organized volunteers, and it's all kind of led me to this place I'm at now, which it's every weird twist and turn of my career has kind of given me an extra layer of empathy, which has really helped me just be better at what I do. I've been working on Sitecore projects for 4 years now, I think. The agency I was with before Proficient was mainly a Salesforce shop, and we would get occasional website projects, and we would do those on Sitecore, and nobody really knew anything about it. So we had 2 developers and me, and we learned everything we could, and we kind of plunked them together and had some pretty good success. And then we were acquired by Proficient. And now I get to do all the things. So now I get to do taxonomies and all the personalization. I get to do all the bells and whistles, like you said, get the Lamborghini out of the garage. So, so it's pretty fun, but I'm very client facing. So please don't ask me super technical questions. I can't answer them. Anyway, so I started getting interested in behavioral economics 5 or 6 years ago. I read the book Nudge by Richard Thaler, which I highly recommend you all do. It's along the lines of the Malcolm Gladwell books, you know, kind of why do people do the things they do? And it kind of awakened this like evil genius in me, you know, how can we, not manipulate, but influence behavior in marketing, both digital marketing, you know, physical, environmental marketing, the design of waiting rooms. I mean, everything has to be engineered to accommodate the way humans work, the way our brains work, the way our bodies work. And how can we apply some of that theory to our strategies and the decisions that we make on website projects. So I've put this little spiel together. I'm also working with one of our developers, Zach Gay, on a series of blog posts that will be out on the Proficient website probably every 2 weeks if we do our homework and stay on task. And I'm going to be talking about kind of the psychology and the why and the strategy behind each of these theories. And then he's going to come in and say exactly how you do it. This is how you would implement this on a Sitecore website. So we're kind of tag teaming this from a psychological, strategic standpoint and the developer standpoint. So I think it's going to be really fun once we get started. I did a kind of introductory blog post a couple of weeks ago, and we are due to publish, gosh, what day is it? Tuesday? We can probably get it done. Our first joint blog post this week. So hopefully we'll get our homework done and get that out. So I will share my screen. I'm generally a Teams girl. So where is the share screen, green button, trying to make it easy for dummies like me. All right, am I sharing the right thing?
Got it. Got
okay.
Hacking human nature, yes.
Awesome. I just have a moment of panic because I have like 500 tabs open, so I'm never quite sure what I'm showing people. So anyway, so hacking human nature. How can we use behavioral economics to inform our marketing strategy? So behavioral economics kind of became a thing in roughly the 1960s. People were studying psychology and Jung, and you know, these psychologists were studying psychology as a whole, but out of this came this discipline that was, why do people do the things they do? what influences human behavior and decision making. And so this is kind of the intersection of psychology, economics, and neuroscience, and examines the human rationality of decision making, or as we'll find out, the lack thereof. And we can use a better understanding of why people do the things they do, making irrational, unexplainable, and unpredictable decisions to create experiences that accommodate the human brain and influence behavior. Now, at a certain point, there are some ethical things. I mean, the do-gooder altruist in me never wants to think that we're manipulating people, that we're making people do something they wouldn't ordinarily do. What I want to do is make it exceedingly easy for people to do business with my clients and make it really, really, really easy and enticing for them to do the thing we want them to do, if that makes any sense. And to give them all the tools at their disposal to have fun, making good decisions, have an environment that doesn't feel like marketing at all, and make doing business with my clients a delight. Make it easy, make it fun, silver platter all the stuff they need to make good decisions. And in order to do that, we can't do that based on assumptions. We need to do it based to a certain extent on science. And so that's kind of what I've been doing a lot of reading about and what I hope to kind of spread the gospel about over this coming year. So kind of the base theory in behavioral economics is called rational choice theory. And it's this idea that if you have a set of circumstances or a situation or a set of information or facts, humans are going to make a good decision every time. We're going to do what's rational, what's reasonable, what's in our best interest, what's in the best interest of those around us. What we will learn is humans are rarely, if ever, rational. So the first theory I'm going to talk about, and it's what hopefully this week's blog post is going to be about, is about social proof theory. And that's the theory that humans want to get buy-in, approval, input from people around us, whether we know them or not, to kind of reinforce and validate our decisions, whether it's about buying something, using something, hiring something, what college you're going to send your kid to. We're constantly, even if we don't realize it, we're looking for validation and affirmation and input from people around us. So 72% of customers said that positive online reviews make them trust a company more, and 88% said they trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So earlier this week, I had some picture on Instagram and my friend Danny said, "Oh, what product are you using in your hair?" And I said, "I don't know, just hairspray." And they said, "Oh, you have to go to Target and you have to get this stuff. It'll change your life. It will make your hair fluffy. It won't leave junk in your hair. It smells great. It's going to save your life. It's $7. You have to go get it." So sure enough, I went to Target the next day and had this picture on my phone and found this one thing that I had to get because my friend Danny said it was going to be great. And it's pretty great. But no amount of marketing in the world was going to make me try a new product out of the blue. But that recommendation, the reinforcement from someone I knew, made me completely change my day and make a trip over to Target and purchase this one thing. So how can we make it easier for people to do that? It's really hard for marketers to like, hey, go tell your friends about this great hair product, show them this picture. But there are some things that we can do to make it a little bit easier. So wherever you can, implement automated or aggregated customer reviews. Of course, this is most commonly on e-commerce sites, but you can also do it on, like manufacturers' website, that sort of thing, get testimonials, get reviews, that sort of thing, put it on the website. Always make it possible to share product image descriptions, that sort of thing on social media. I'm helping our youngest daughter is a senior this year. And so among like fighting about college and crying over baby pictures, we're looking for a prom dress. And because this is 2021, we look for prom dresses online, not in a store. And what I've noticed is a lot of these prom dress companies, once you get to a product page, there's a little icon that says send this to your phone, which is amazing because I'll be looking on my laptop, but I need to send it to my daughter on her phone. So instead of like messaging the URL to myself and then sending it to her, it will just text me the URL. And now they also have my phone number. So now they have a little bit of data about me. So that's another great thing that I've seen lately. And then implement schema markup so that the aggregate review will appear in Google search results. I need to find the statistic, but the click-through rate on rich snippets in the search engine results page greatly increases the click-through rate on those types of results pages. So a couple real-world examples of this. I saw these shoes on Dr. Scholl, well, it came through my Instagram feed, and I looked at them and I looked at them and I looked at them, and I was like, I can't tell if they're really cute or if they're really ugly. And if you're a woman, you would understand, like, it's a fine line. So I sent it to my group of girlfriends on Instagram. I'm like, what do you think? You know, and kind of had them weigh in. And then next to this, of course, is this was a Google result for Dr. Scholl's. These are some ugly shoes. I would not wear these shoes, but you know, it has 4.5 out of 5 stars, 412 reviews. I'd probably at least go read it, you know, and see like what's so great about them. Is it the sole? Is it something about the shoe that's in a cuter shoe that I could get? So making it possible to share products, get input from other people, and see testimonials, reviews, that sort of thing from other users can really, really heavily influence a user's behavior. The second one we're going to talk about is loss aversion therapy. People are way more willing to take risks to avoid losing something than they are to gain something. Statistically, I've seen the psychological pain of losing something is at least twice as significant. I've seen as high as 4 times as significant as the pleasure of gaining something. So when you're messaging on product pages, that sort of thing, use language that emphasizes loss rather than gain. This is a little manipulative, but we can do it. So you can say, stop losing hundreds on car insurance each month rather than save hundreds of dollars on car insurance each month. I mean, just the way that is phrased, and this can be really, really effective in social ads, tweets, that sort of thing, where you have very limited real estate and you need to make a big difference in a limited number of characters. That's a way that you can do this. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So I don't know, in Canada, have you heard of Garrison Keillor and Lake Wobegon and Prairie Home Companion? If not, it was this radio show out of Minnesota. And Garrison Keillor is moderately sort of famous among old people, which I am. And this is Garrison Keillor's house. It's right down the street from me. And it is on the market. And if you'll see, in 2019, it was listed at $2.5 million. And then it went down to 2,000,001, and then 1,000,009, and then 1,000,007. Now, they would be far better off if they would just sell it for what they can get for it at this point. But it would seem that the pain of losing that potential chunk of money with their house is probably causing them to do some dumb stuff. They probably got some offers in between that they coulda, woulda, shoulda taken, but this loss aversion, and granted, it's probably the advice of their realtor, is causing them to do stupid stuff. And that we do that all the time because we don't want to lose this thing that means so much to us, even if rationally we know that it's probably a dumb decision. Something really, really similar, it's kind of the flip side of this coin, is the endowment effect or prospect theory. They're basically the same thing. It means that individuals perceive the value of an item they own as higher than an identical item owned by someone else. So the statistic on this is about the same. The pain of losing something is far greater than the pain of gaining something. So if you can show items that are already customized with the prospect's identifiable details, I can't tell you how often on Facebook I see stuff already personalized with like my date of birth or my last name, stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that's how they get you, They put my last name on it. And so I can picture myself in that stupid $50 t-shirt that I would never buy otherwise. Another thing is like giveaways, free trials, free limited time subscriptions, brand ownership. Give people a little taste of owning something, and they're not going to want to let it go very easily. I do this all the time. I'm really dumb. I sign up for stuff all the time, and then I don't cancel it. I kind of start to like it. Okay, I'll just keep doing it. It's only $15 a month. And I'm exactly the sucker that, goes for this kind of stuff. This is a really good example. So this is a website. I can't remember the name of it, but they make personalized like coffee mugs and like towels and throws and stuff. But what you can do is you can choose the people, you can choose the hairstyle, you can choose the skin tone, you can choose the cocktail they're holding in their hands, and you can make yourself a mug. Now, if I just saw this with like somebody else's hairdos and names, I'd be like, yeah. But the fact that you can go in there and you can like configure your cup. So this is my best friend, Steph, and me. And I'm like, oh, that would be such a cute 40th birthday present for her this fall. Yeah, I will totally get that. I will get that and I'll buy one for her and one for me because I can see myself on there and now I want it. Now I'm invested. So anytime you can build kind of a build your own, a preview. I mean, cars do this, all this kind of stuff. If you can like visualize a thing that you own exactly the way that you want it, man, it's a lot more enticing to pull the trigger and purchase that thing or order it if you can see it exactly how you want it. Choice architecture and choice framing, again, is really a messaging thing. And individuals' decisions are based on the way a choice is presented. So they did a study, and 93% of PhD students registered early when they were told that there was a penalty for late registration. Only 63% registered early when they were told there was a discount for early registration. So again, this is a messaging thing, but people kind of, the way you present choices, the way you kind of present a spectrum of high and low, that sort of thing, can make a big difference on the decisions that people make. So you can use language to emphasize loss rather than gain. And again, this is kind of the same example. Stop losing hundreds on car insurance rather than save hundreds of dollars on car insurance each month. I don't know if you guys remember, gosh, it was probably 5 or 10 years ago. I think it was Taco Bell. There's this big PR hubbub because somebody said their like taco meat is only like 80% meat, 90% meat. And people were freaking out, wondering like, what is the other 5 or 10 or 20% of this stuff made of? Is it shoelaces? Is it leaves? Like what is, well, it's filler, it's spices and stuff. If you had nothing but hamburger in your taco, it would be gross. So of course you need filler, that's stuff that like adds flavor. But when they said their meat is only 80-90% meat, people freaked out. There were lawsuits. It was ugly. So if you say your hamburger is 95% lean, yeah, that sounds great. I'll make a hamburger out of that. But if you say our ground beef is 5% fat, no thanks. So the way that you frame choices, either in messaging or in the way things are presented on the page, really does make a big difference. Another really similar theory is the anchoring principle, which means that individuals will rely heavily on the first piece of information they receive and then use that as the reference point or benchmark for decisions, whether it's rational or not. So if I give you a number and then I give you another number, it's either higher or lower than that, but you're going to kind of base the relevance on whatever first piece of information you get. So you can use messaging to emphasize value relative to something else. I was looking for bedding a few weeks ago, and I can't remember what website this was at. But if you see the sale starts at $21.76, that's a really good deal. But then if you see, oh my gosh, it was $90. It was $90 and now it's $21. That's fantastic. Like, that's a great deal. I better hurry up. But if you had just said it was $21.67, didn't mention it was a sale, didn't mention the regular price, I'd probably say, it's probably pretty crappy. I'm probably not going to buy it. But that's a really good deal if it's normally 90 bucks. So anytime you could, do something like this with price or like limited time offers, it's a big difference if you say you have until August 1st, but if you say you only have 6 months, the way that you message that can make a big difference as well. The hedonic principle. Individuals are more motivated by rewards of luxury rather than cash or other rewards because it removes the idea of guilt or indulgence in acquiring those rewards. I don't know if Canadians are like Midwesterners, but like we're not allowed to spend money on nice things without feeling a little bit of guilt. But if I earn that nice thing, or I win that nice thing, or I just get that nice thing because I bought another nice thing, then I don't have to feel so bad about it. And I certainly don't have to tell my husband about it. So I like that. So items of luxury are perceived as having a higher value than their actual economic cost. So you can use items of luxury or indulgence to incentivize behavior. I shop for a lot of my makeup at a store called Sephora. Mostly because I earn points. So the VIB is very important. I'm not sure, it's the Beauty Insider, but you accumulate these points and then you can use the points to get basically samples of stuff. You get free stuff basically, but they're from really high-end brands. And like on your birthday, you get a free gift, that sort of thing. So I keep going back and I buy makeup that's way more expensive than it needs to be because I keep racking up these points, and I get, you know, a really fancy lipstick once a year, and I can get samples of really high-end stuff I probably wouldn't buy otherwise. This is exactly, I'm exactly the target market for this kind of strategy. This is another, I'm just like telling you what a sucker I am for like every trick in the book. This is another one that I'm terrible about, self-control theory. The human brain has kind of two brains. There's a doer and a planner. The doer wants kind of immediate, urgent, short-term rewards. The planner is willing to wait and hold off for more like long-term rewards. And this turns our headspace into a battlefield of today versus tomorrow. So you can use immediate incentives, discounts, or promotions to increase urgency and engagement. I do dumb stuff all the time. Of course I have Amazon Prime because I can't wait more than 2 days to get my dumb thing I need. I almost always pay more to ship my order faster, even though I don't need it earlier. You know, 2 weeks is just fine, but if it's only $5 and I can get it in a week, I will almost always do that. And then I spend, if there is a silver lining with the pandemic, I cannot go to bars and spend outrageous amounts of money on the jukebox because I'll put in $20 and then as I'm choosing songs, well, I like this one a little bit better, and for two credits I can do this one sooner, and so I like turn it into this monster at the jukebox, blowing all my money on getting songs just a little bit faster. So things like this where like with just a little bit of incentive, getting things earlier, satisfying kind of the monkey brain in our head sooner rather than later, people are willing to pay for that. People are dumb like me, and they'll pay money to, kind of scratch the doer itch in their head rather than waiting to get their stuff a little bit later. Another way that I really encourage you to use these theories is in user testing and site performance and analyzing your data. So if you're looking at things like form completion, what CTA type works best? Is it a button? Is it anchor text? What sort of verbiage works better? Email performance, opens, click-through rate, that sort of thing. Survey completion, the performance of promotions, if you want to increase donations, that sort of thing. Increasing employee and customer engagement, and even site search. These are the areas where on a really fundamental level, this is where behavioral economics really comes into play, because you can start doing some testing. Why aren't people requesting this brochure? Well, it's because you're asking way too much information from people before you're willing to give them the brochure. It's just a brochure, or it's just a catalog. So let's do some A/B testing and just see if our hunch is correct. How can we increase loyalty by doing A or B? Test it, test it, test it, and go back to some of these theories. There's a lot of papers and a lot of research out there that will help you at least determine a direction to go in with your testing, so you know why people might do this rather than that. And I was always kind of the nerdy kid in middle school who looked forward to the science fair. I loved it. And I kind of approach all of my marketing strategy like a science fair project. You develop your hypothesis and your theory, and you test it and you test it and you test it. And if people don't do what you think they are going to do, what you would hope they would do, you change a couple things and you just keep watching their behavior. And that's one of the kind of incredible things of digital marketing is we can do that. We can see exactly what folks are doing. We can get really good analytics and measurement, and then just tweak little things until you get results kind of within the range that you need it to be. So I kind of encourage folks to go back to their 7th grade self and think about their strategies in that way. There's a lot of really, really good reading and listening and research out there. I suggest you start with the book Nudge by Richard Thaler. He's kind of the I don't know, the grandfather of behavioral economics. It was written in 2008. He won the Nobel Prize for it. It's really interesting. He also has a lot of really good YouTube talks, but Nudge is a great book to get on audiobook and just listen to as you're doing other stuff, cleaning the house, going for a drive, that sort of thing. All of the Malcolm Gladwell books really apply to marketing strategy. A roundabout way, they really are talking about behavioral economics and why people do the things they do. And then Thinking Fast and Slow is another really, really good one that I recommend. I'm kind of a podcast addict. Of course, Malcolm Gladwell, Revisionist History, Hidden Brain, Freakonomics Radio, and Invisibilia. There's another one that I just started listening to, 99% Invisible, I think it's called. It's basically the design of every day. You know, they'll talk about a city or they'll talk about a process, things that are around us and you don't even see, but a lot of thought and care and research and design went into all of those things that are just around us that we don't even notice. And then behavioraleconomics.com is a really good resource. There's also a LinkedIn group by that name. And then of course, good old Google. If you just look up behavioral economics marketing, there's a ton of articles and research papers and things like that that have been done. So yeah, it's good, interesting reading. I've applied a lot of it to decisions I've made as a marketer. If you can throw some of these terms around with your clients, they're going to think you're pretty darn smart, which is always good. So it's a short talk, so we're going to get out of here kind of early, but do you guys have any questions or stuff you want to dig into?
That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
First of all, yeah, nice stuff. And wow.
Yeah, and this is like literally the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I could talk about this for hours and hours, but these are kind of the most, I don't know, easy to understand and easy to do things. So yeah, there's a lot of good reading, a lot of good like TED Talks and YouTube talks out there that I could listen to for days.
I snapshotted your book suggestions because first of all, there's a few books there that I already love, so I know you have good taste. All the Gladwell ones are awesome. Yep. The Freakonomics changed my life.
Yeah.
And Thinking Fast and Slow helped me understand my mind a lot better. Everybody's got one here, so I suggest you read that because it's a user guide for your head. So really cool, and it's like we're so tech focused here that it's really great for me to hear more about the psychology. And I think it's often something that we talk about the technology, like it's going to be like this magic pill. It's going to do everything for you. Yeah. But I want to throw this out there and then for you to more comment on in terms of like, in terms of what really makes people click that button on the balance between technology and the psychology aspect. And it's a softball question. I kind of guess what you might say, but maybe just commenting on that. But this kind of thinking, right? You talked about, I guess, how many customers in your experience are coming to the table or having done a sufficient job of thinking about some of these things beforehand. And secondly, like when you realize that they haven't, how do you make, because I mean, this is all about, I'm doing some sales training right now. So then you talked about like pain rather than gain as an emphasis. This is like real a sales technique. How do you sell it to them when they haven't done the job and they just want to get the darn site built? How do you sell this to them when you see they haven't, and how many come ready for it?
Yeah, you know, in my experience, research is the most important part of a website project, and it's the part that's least likely to get funded, because every client thinks they know everything about every client. They think they know their audiences and their personas, and 10 years ago somebody did a thing and here's the secondary research, and they think they know. And I try to convince them that the thing we bring to the table is ignorance. I don't know. I don't know anything about your people or your products. And so I want to learn from your people. I need to know everything about what you sell, how you sell it, who you're selling it to. And then I want to go talk to those people and find out about their everyday life. And, if they don't do business with my client, why? Is it a little thing that we can improve or change or quit doing? And so it's a really hard sell, because like every parent thinks they know their child, every client thinks they know their audience, and every single strategy project I've been a part of has been more successful if we are allowed to do research, because every decision that we make is based on empathy. And I don't make any decisions based on assumptions. I make it based on research or best practices or data. That's it. If I don't have one of those three things, I'm at a loss. So it really is a tough thing to sell. I appreciate when we have sellers, for lack of a better term, who have been parts of those projects, because they can say, our team was able to, kind of upend the decisions of this client, and this is the results. This is what we got out of it. We're able to look under rocks that they haven't thought to look under. We can see patterns they don't see, and that's why you implement an agency. So it's a really hard sell, but every single time we're allowed to do it and we have the time and budget to do it, we are more successful and build a better website. We just do.
Right on.
So
thank you for that.
That's
so
amazing.
How does that play in with something like Sitecore Cortex and Sitecore AO and machine learning? Because
it's magic. It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic, right? I don't need, the theory goes, right? I don't need your human knowledge, right? I have machine learned data and AI data, which is right. It takes the empathy out of it to a certain degree, but how does that complement, or how does it contradict what you were just
The behavior.
yeah. I don't have a good answer for that. To be perfectly honest, I've never had a client using those, so I don't know. I would like to
phase
think,
two. Phase two, don't worry.
Right. But even just the initial setup, the flow of the site, the content, the presentation of information, just from a fundamental standpoint, I think if that's not based on conversations you've had with people who are going to use the site, you're starting off on a really rough foot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would add to that like you just mentioned, those things at the front end of things, that's the machine can't do those things. Like it just can't. That'll always be a human thing, because every human is different and they're going to want to experience things in a different way. But the after effect is the machine learning can take on the data and parse that out and give you kind of some suggestions and stuff. So you're right. The human is first, and then the data that is gleaned from the interactions can be then AI'd to give you some measure of insight. But getting the initial interactivity, and that's going to be a human thing.
Right. And sometimes users have problems that need to be solved that clients hasn't even occurred to them. We had a client a few years ago, we were building a website for them, and we get all their information, do you have personas? Have you ever done journey mapping, that sort of thing? And they said, well, these are the 3 buckets of users. There are 3 titles, it's basically users, owners, something else. And we did a whole bunch of research thinking that the information that they would need would be in nice silos. So this group needs this information, this group needs this information, this group needs this information. And once we started talking to them, it wasn't like that at all. It was very much a Venn diagram, and there was a lot of overlap in the information that they needed at different stages of I hate the term buying journey, but buying journey. And so they didn't fit into nice buckets like our client thought. And so what we had to do was begin to think about audiences by intent. So we re-bucketed users as waders, swimmers, and divers. So waders were there kind of looking at products, they're shopping around, they're looking at other companies, they're looking at aesthetics, that sort of thing. Is this going to work in my house? That sort of thing. And then the next layer was the swimmers. They kind of know what is going to look good. Now they need to know, is this going to, work in my project? Do you have the size I need? Is it going to meet my requirements? And then divers, they already have the product. So they need to just dive into the website. They know exactly what piece of data they're looking for. And they need to get out because they're in the middle of their day. They're in the middle of their work. They just need to come in and get this one piece of information and get back out. Now, the audiences that they thought they had didn't fit neatly into those layers at all, because at different points with different types of projects, they needed different things. So that was one of those instances where we never would have figured that out if we hadn't just talked to, I think it was 30 different users. And it has made a huge difference in their, not website performance, but their overall ROI on the site. So
talking to users, that's crazy talk. What the hell do they know?
Yeah.
Nothing,
What's a
nothing.
user?
That's the most fun part of my job. I love it.
It is. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so when you're engaging and speaking to users, are you speaking to them, literally speaking to them, or are you kind of presenting them with here's a survey, fill it out?
Oh, we talk to them, and it's very open-ended. I usually have 6, 8, maybe 10 pieces of information I want to get out of them. So I have my little, make sure you find out this, but it's very open-ended. And we go down a lot of rabbit holes, and you never know where the conversation's going to end up. Yeah. I always record them. It's nice for the client to be able to listen after the fact, but I don't let the client in when we're doing the interview. It's kind of distracting for me. I did that once, and the client started texting me things to ask in the middle of the interview, and I was like, no. So yeah, but it's really, it's good insight. I don't tell them generally what company I'm working for, because I want them to be really, really honest with their brand preferences. And, if they hate something about my, my client, I want to hear it, because, very often it's, it's a misconception. It's something we can fix. It's something we didn't know. Yeah. And if they're worried about, hurting your feelings, they're not going to tell you that if they know you're working for, McDonald's versus Burger King. So.
Yeah. Excellent. That's very good. Well, I really appreciate this.
I wanted to just, you mentioned one thing, a little bit of hesitancy around using the word, buyer journey, and perhaps a little hesitancy around focusing on pain and the whole selling thing. And I just want to just say to everybody that selling is not a bad word. It's not a, sell is a 4-letter word, but it's not that kind.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're focusing on pain, then I think hopefully your purpose is to alleviate a pain that somebody has. And if you're setting out to alleviate pain, you're not doing a bad thing in this world, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really...
you're not using it as a manipulation tactic. Yeah.
Well, there you go. But oftentimes people need a little help to realize where their pain really is, right? And so I think that's perhaps what we're trying to do when we do some of these things. Maybe you want to comment on that.
Yeah, and again, and I tiptoe around, manipulation, because in these days of, Instagram ads and algorithms and things. I think some companies are manipulative and unethical in showing you one thing and then selling you garbage, you know, that sort of thing. And I don't work that way. I don't work for clients that work that way. So what I really want to do is give people exactly the information they need to make a good decision for themselves. I don't want to make it more work for them to figure out what they need to make a decision either for or against a certain product. So I'm not going to make you open a new tab to look for something that I know you're going to need. I'm going to put it on a silver platter right in front of you, right at the moment I think you're going to need it. And that's where, you know, personalization comes into play, that sort of thing. I tell clients a lot that I think of personalization and content strategy like a grocery store. So if you have your website and it's laid out like a grocery store, you have your produce over here, you have your meat over here, your dairy over here, vegetables, canned things, like you kind of know how things are going to be categorized together. And that's to a certain extent your taxonomy. But then if you know that it is Thanksgiving season coming up, and people are going to be making, you know, dishes that you, for your part of the country or your part of Canada. I know you have it at a
Turkey.
different time of year.
Different time of year, same food.
But you know they're going to want turkey. You know they're going to want stuffing. So you kind of put that stuff together. In Minnesota, we eat green bean casserole. So I know they're going to want green beans and cream of mushroom soup and the crunchy onions, which are sometimes hard to find. So you put all that stuff together and hand it to them on a silver platter, because we anticipate that they're going to need all this stuff together. Now you keep everything in their rows, because if someone comes in and they just need green beans, you need to keep it where it belongs. But if you can anticipate that, you know, people are probably going to need X, Y, and Z put together, just put it together and put it right in front of them where they're going to run across it and hit their heads on it, and just make it really, really easy for people to get the information they need to make a good decision. So that's my little soapbox about personalization and grocery stores.
Very good analogy.
Yes,
we face that all the time. We got Easter coming up, and right as soon as you walk in the grocery store, you got all the baskets there lined up for you. Pick one up, put it right in.
Got your ham and carrot cake, you're good to go.
Right on.
It's all right at the door as soon as you walk in.
Well, Megan, I mean, this is fascinating stuff here. I know we lost a couple, and I think that we're going to probably adjust our timing to go probably 5:30 to 7-ish the next time around. And Nabil, you want to kind of take us home, man?
If there's nobody else has any questions or something to add, thank you so much, Megan. This is an amazing presentation. We learned a lot from it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yes. And
you know, we always welcome a lot the non-technical talks. You know, we need more of that. So thank you for joining our Toronto user group. And you know,
anytime.
And if you have any other fascinating talks, please talk to us. We'll be happy to invite you again.
Oh, look, Ben is clapping. Ben is clapping with his virtual. He's clapping his virtual hands.
Nice.
Hands. Yes. Next time we're going to have Nick Wesselman from the mothership on board. I put the thing in the chat, so you guys might want to join in for that. And I'm going to be in VR too, hopefully next time. Ben and I might clap or throw the virtual popcorn, depending on how Nick does. All right. So,
all right.
And
awesome stuff.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Awesome.
We're gonna post the links later on, and this was a great way to get us rebooted again, Megan.
Yeah, this was a fantastic start.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for joining. Really good to
have
see
a good
all
evening.
of you. Have a
good night,
Well, that
guys.
turkey
Thank
talk
you.
made me hungry.
Thanks
Going for
everyone.
dinner.
That was a great talk, Meg. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Farewell.